Right, what's happening, team? How are we all doing? Hope everyone's well. Today's video, we're going to be talking about shift work, okay, and how best to prepare if you've got a night shift or a block of night shifts coming up. And I guess the inspiration for this video really comes from a few of the team members I've just had join. We've had quite a few nurses, and we've had a couple of police officers, and more people in the uniform services joining the team. And one of the biggest problems that these guys have is their shift work. They're rotating shifts some days as well. So I guess some shifts will be working through the day, some shifts will be working through the night. And they can never predict when they're doing it, and they find it really hard, especially with the people that give me feedback, found it really hard to fit their training in, fit their nutrition in, and then keep on adhering to the program. So I've put this piece together for you guys and for anyone else that might be interested, just to try and help out. Okay, so we're going to get into a slideshow. We're going to be talking about shift work. We're going to be talking about how we can best work around it in terms of reaching our goals. It's going to be a good video. But yeah, let's go ahead and start. So just as a little introduction, okay? So this isn't as scary, but according to multiple leading world health sources, shift work and night shifts are classed as a carcinogenic, and this just means that people who are working these shifts are more likely to develop cancer. And shift work can disrupt our natural circadian rhythm, which is something we're going to get into in a little bit, which is basically just your mental, physical, and behavioral changes over the period of 24 hours. Those who work with these shifts are more likely to neglect their physical exercise and eat out with takeaways. And that is why it is a carcinogenic, okay? Because you're more likely to do unhealthy things and resort to unhealthy habits. Now, just a little anecdote here, just a little story for you. This isn't coming from a place of ignorance. I know what it's like to work a night shift. As many of you on the team might know, I used to work security in Newcastle for about 3 years. All right, and it consisted of every single night I would hop on a club and I'd be on a shift from either 5 to 8, 9 hours. Right. So, and by the way, I was cutting for fights during this time. I was sparring. I was doing shit through the day. I was doing my personal training through the day. So I've been there. I know what it's like to be working these shifts. So that's another reason, I guess, why I'm doing this. Moving on to something really important. Okay. So understanding the circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm determines a lot of your daily behaviors and energy levels throughout the day. All right. And what it basically is, like I said before, it's your body on a 24-hour clock. And depending on what time of day you're at, your body does different things and it produces different hormones, right, to signal different behaviors and different actions. All right. The biggest factor that goes into circadian rhythm is light and darkness. And we can see here, I'll just move my face out the way there. If we look at this graph, all right, it can affect things like hormones, it can affect things like body temperature, and it can affect things like alertness. So if we look at 6 a.m., right, 6 a.m., where, a lot of people wake up, your cortisol levels peak. And that's a hormone that triggers alertness and it triggers awakeness, all right? So around about 10 o'clock, you're really alert. Noontime, you've got your best coordination and reaction time. As we go into the late afternoon, you get your strongest. Your blood pressure then rises as we go towards the evening. Melatonin levels rise, which is what triggers you to get tired and get sleepy. And then hopefully by midnight, you're usually deep asleep. Okay, and that process repeats and repeats. And it's something that we've had from evolution, from when humans were back in the day when we used to be hunter-gatherers, it was easy to go out hunting in the daytime. So it makes sense that our body adapted and produced its hormones in relation to when we'd be our most alert, which is through the day. As you can imagine, shift work and these night shifts that you guys are going on can really whack the circadian rhythm out of balance, and it can really mess up with our hormones, our behaviors, and our actions as well. So let's just move on again to how we can actually help this and how we can make sure that we can still stick to our fitness goals. So first things first, and those who are on the program know I'm going to be saying this already, but you guys need to plan ahead of time what you're going to do and when you're going to do it ahead of your shift time. Right? These night shifts, I want you, I want you to approach them like Game of Thrones characters approach winter. All right? You've got to think the shift work, the night work's coming. If you have a shift block coming, and it's really important just not to run into it blindly and not to know what it is that you're doing. You need to take action beforehand, right? So I would suggest personally, and this is something that I used to do, 2 days before a night shift or a night block, schedule a rough estimate of how your routine is going to look. Planning is going to equal freedom here, right? And what do I mean? What are you going to be planning? Well, you're going to be planning your meals. Okay, you're going to be planning your prep time when you're going to actually prep and cook these meals and put them into boxes for the shifts. You're going to be planning your gym sessions, okay, and you're going to try and roughly plan when you're going to be going to sleep. Some of you guys, I mentioned uniform service members, and unfortunately, again, I guess it's the same on the doors, but to a lesser extent, you cannot plan if some Raji is getting locked up and you've got to stay with him for a couple hours, right? Say if you end your shift at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might be there with that guy in A&E up until 6, 7 a.m. All right, but you can still put that in there when you think you're going to go to sleep, right? So just try and make it a rough, as much of a rough estimate as possible. Do this through Google Calendar, right? I like personally using my Google Calendar on my phone, but I also link it to my Apple Calendar as well, so that I get notifications an hour or half an hour before what I'm meant to be doing for that time actually happens. So if I meal prep on a Sunday at 12 o'clock, I'm gonna get a reminder half an hour or an hour beforehand, just so I know that it's time to prep my mind to start meal prepping, if that makes sense. It's really important that we become creatures of habits and get into a good routine. And if you know what you're going to do before you're going to do it a couple of days beforehand, then you're going to be in a really good place and you're not going to get as tired, as fatigued. Okay? Because things aren't just happening like random. So that's how I want you to guys to plan shift work and plan your days. That takes me nicely into nutrition, all right? And again, like I said before, plan and prep your food a night, 2 days before your shift work or night shift block. All right, super important that you do this. Like I said before, it's really easy, especially for all you cops out there. If you finished in Newcastle City Centre and you're looking for something to eat and you know you don't have anything prepped and taken with you, it's easy to go into that takeaway shop and just pick up that kebab, right? Is that really gonna? It's going to be detrimental to your goals, right? I don't even have to ask you that question, right? If you work especially long hours, look to box up a meal that consists of at least 1/3 of your daily calorie intake, right? As well as this, I would suggest packing a snack. If you guys struggle with meal preps, right, there's something I really want you to look at, right? And that is the Tesco Gym Kitchen, right? It's a prep kitchen from Tesco's. And these things are the same price as a meal deal and cheaper than a takeaway, right? I'm going to have a little look at that now. I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. So I've came onto the Tesco's page, right? And if we just type in Tesco ready-made kitchen, right? We have a little scroll down and we've got loads and loads of meals here to choose from. Each meal is around about 400 grams and each meal has got plenty of your macronutrients in, okay? So protein, carbohydrates, fats, micronutrients like your fruit, your vegetables. They've got a good quality and quantity of these macros and micros within each meal. And these are tasty meals, right? These aren't crappy meals that you'd buy, when you go to Aldi sometimes and buy a sandwich and it just tastes like dishwater. No, that isn't this. These are actually good and well prepared meals. Okay, if we have a look, we've got chicken tikka, we've got chicken paella, we've got Thai green chicken curry, we've got I don't know how to say that word, but it's some Italian word. Korean beef chili. Loads and loads and loads of meals to choose from. And it's not just the meals, you've got different snacks here as well. If you scroll up and go on the snack section, they've got yogurt bowls, they've got loads of different things that you can choose from. But again, it's just a really good idea, and it's great if your biggest excuse is that you do not have time, right? That is no excuse at this point. If you are saying that you cannot eat well because you do not have time, then and you've seen this, then you're lying to yourself, you're kidding yourself, and you're making more excuses. And that, if you want to, do well in your fitness goals, that is something that you cannot stand for. And like I said, £3.75 for one meal. You can buy them in bulks for £9.38 per kilo. There's really no excuse, and it's probably one of the best things you can do. I use it with a lot of the team. And again, if your biggest, I guess, excuse is that you don't have the time, you can't find the time. How how long are you on your phone for a day? Have a look at your screen time right now. How long are you on that thing? If yours is like mine and it says 6 to 7 hours, you've got the time, right? Because 2 of them hours are going to be on Instagram, and that's time you could be doing this, right? So that's that sounds horrible, but that is the meal prep, okay? Just something to think about. Just to finish off nutrition, okay, some snack ideas, some really simple snack ideas for you that'll keep you going another couple hours if you are struggling. Is fruit and protein shake, okay, so a banana, an apple, and a protein shake. It might not seem like a lot, but it's gonna go a long way, especially if you're working them long shifts and you're tired. It might just give you a little pick me up, and then quick, fast releasing sugary things that you find in fruit. That's really gonna go a long way. And the final one, I shouldn't even have to say it, but no caffeine 2 hours before bed. We'll talk about this in a little bit more, but 2 hours before bed, you want to be prepping for bed. And if you're downing a black coffee or an espresso, you're not just you're gonna do yourself no favors when it comes to actually getting into the bed. So yeah, that's just a quick one to finish off nutrition. All right, we get wait, there's me by the way. Look at that. That's an alright photo. But training, okay? Train before your shift starts. All right. Again, I've been there. I've done that. If you are trying to train after a 12, 16 hour shift, you are going to absolutely hate your life. Okay, you're going to be tired. You're going to get annoyed at yourself for not hitting the weights that you want to hit. So make sure that you train before your shift starts. If you have a night shift week, if you have one of those blocks coming up, do your hardest sessions, so usually your weightlifting sessions, at the beginning of the week when you've got your most energy. A lot of you have weekends off, which is fantastic. Use that to your advantage because you're going to be resting, you're going to be recuperating, you're going to get loads of sleep and loads of good food in you through the weekend, unless you're out sessioning. So you should at the start of the week, come a Monday, have your most amount of energy. So that's a good time. Even if you've got these block shifts, it's a good time to get your sessions in. Minimum for you guys that aren't on the program, okay? 3 weight training sessions a week and 2 to 3, that should really say cardio sessions. Keep the weight sessions short, okay? You don't want to spend too much time in there and waste too much energy. Around about 30 to 45 minutes, and you can get a lot done within 30 to 45 minutes. If you aren't on the program and you're struggling getting them weight training sessions in, you find yourself being in the gym for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you don't have the time, give me a message, okay? You probably got this video through my Instagram. Give me a message and I will send you something, okay? Cardio sessions, you want around 45 to 60 minutes and you just want to be steady state cardio, rolling on, not getting yourself too tired. Another thing that's really important to note here, when you are in the gym and you do have these night shifts and blocks going on, just do what you can. Do not go into the gym expecting to smash out the weights, get loads of PBs, run fast as you've run in years. It's just unrealistic because again, like I said, you're gonna be tired from the night shifts. So getting in, just getting shit done, doing what you can, getting through the session, that is as good as we can hope for. All right. One more thing, mentally prepare yourself for the gym an hour before you go. This is where we can take point, as I said before, like keeping the reminders in your phone that help off an hour before you go in. So you can actually prepare your head, right, I'm going to the gym in an hour. What can I do? What little rituals do I have to prepare myself to go in? Maybe play some motivational music, maybe start thinking about yourself lifting. These little things, it sounds like a bit of woohoo, it sounds like a bit of bullshit, but I promise you they go a long way, right? And the people who stick to these things that I say are the ones that get results. If you're watching this and saying that's bullshit, then you're not going to try it, and therefore you're never going to know. All right. So that's training there. Hope that makes sense. And that brings us on to the most important and probably the one that you guys are most stressed about: sleep. All right. This is super important. So first and foremost, prepare yourself for bed 1 to 2 hours before hitting the mattress, and we'll need to go through a process in order to eventually get to sleep. The first thing I want you guys to think about, make your room as dark and as quiet as possible. This can be done through things like blackout blinds, eye masks, earplugs, and just to give you some examples of what I'm saying, hopefully this works. I've never used this button before. It hasn't worked. Give me 2 seconds. Right, we're back, but just to give you an example of what I'm on about, okay? Argos do loads of these. You can also find them on Amazon. But Argos Home Blackout Roller Blinds, again, it's just something that's smart for you to do. If you can get something that completely blocks out the sunlight, all right, then you're going to go a long way. We talked about the circadian rhythm before, right? Now, it's affected by light. It's affected by you seeing light. If you see light, then you're more likely to be awake. If it touches your skin as well, you're more likely to stay awake. So trying to get as little light to you as possible is a really, really good idea. So we've got these Argos blackout roller blinds that you can put in your house. £8, it's a no-brainer. If this is something that's going to help you get to sleep, then it's a cost that you must be willing to have. All right. So that's the roller blinds right there. Another few things that we can take into consideration, okay? Blue light blocking glasses. Again, if you finish a shift and have been there, you're more likely just to look at your phone until you fall asleep. As soon as you get home, you go on your phone, you watch a few YouTube videos, you get stuck in a loophole and you're watching it for an hour before you know anything. That sort of thing, that phone light, that's also going to mess up your circadian rhythm and make you more alert and more awake. So buying some blue light blocking glasses is a super good idea just to try and keep the light off your eyes, all right? It goes without saying, staying off your phone, right, as much as you can. I've got an app on my phone called Opal, and essentially it's screen time for adults, right? So what you can do with Opal is you can set a certain time of where you want your phone to not allow you to go on any apps like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the brain rot that's out there. And you can schedule it not to let you on, and then when that time frame comes, as soon as you're trying to tap that, it just does not allow you to go on it whatsoever. You can change it when you want. You can actually go on the app and press it to stop if you've got some important messages on either of them apps. But it's just a really good. It just puts another barrier there so that you look at your phone, you want to go on Instagram, oh shit, I can't go on it, and then you just put it down and forget about it. Another few things, a few tips for you. Turning on the air conditioning when you're in the car on your way home. Cold skin, surprisingly, actually makes you feel tired. All right, so just popping it on when you're on the way home, it could help make you feel fatigued, right? Because you know you're going to try and get a sleep. Wearing long sleeve clothes and long legged trousers limits sun on the skin. We talked about that before, trying to limit the sun on the skin. Even before you're in the house, this is something that you can do after your shift. And then another one, just a little personal one for me. Get yourself some wind down time, right? Have a little ritual when you get home. And again, you don't want this to be on your phone, but this can be stuff like listening to a podcast in your living room, in your room before you go to sleep. Reading is a big one I like to do. Classical music, because it's boring and you'll probably tire yourself out by reading it. Or some chilled house music as well. Okay. They are some things that you can do to help yourself feel fatigued and help yourself get to sleep. And again, you could be watching all of this and say, I don't want to do that. That's stupid. I don't want to do that. And if you're one of those people, then you're not going to have a good sleep and you'll never know, right? You could be leaving a lot of things on the table here. And just to finish off on a good note, right? Just get as much sleep as you can. All right. I know the magic numbers at the minute that people are saying is 8 hours sleep, 9 hours sleep, 10 hours sleep, and that would be great. But if we're thinking realistically, and if I think back to when I was on the doors, that is not realistic. Okay, it is not realistic. I was getting 4 to 6 hours sleep when I was on the doors, and I was doing all this stuff, and I still felt all right, and I was still in shape, and I still made weight for my fights. Okay, and if you do all of these little tips I've given you today, right, you could very much keep up these night shifts and stick to your fitness goals as comfortably as you can. All right, and yes, that might seem like I'm being horrible sometimes on this video, but again, it comes from a place that I've been there and I understand what it's like, and I know that if you do these things, it really will help, and I want to help them people out there. Okay, that's it from me. All right. I hope you found this informative. I hope you've taken some things down and taken notes. If you want any more advice, feel free to message me. You guys are on the program. You've got my number. If you are not on the program and you're watching this video through some external link, if you're watching it on YouTube, if you're watching it on Loom, my Instagram is Lewis, Lewis, then a J, then How, Howe. Okay, you can DM me, and my DMs are always open. If you got any questions about this video, I'll be more than happy to help you. All right, I'm going to leave you there. Thanks for watching, those of you that are. I appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thank you.